And that's one of the simplest, strongest fishing knots for every application out there. Hi guys, today we're going to talk about the uni knot. I'm Braden with Fisherman's Source, and we're going to describe the one knot that I would use if you could only use one fishing knot for everything for the rest of my life. Everybody probably has heard of this knot. A lot of people have some experience with it. If you don't, it's definitely a knot you should learn to tie. The great thing about the uni knot is it works for fluorocarbon, it works for mono, it works for braid, it works at 4-pound test. I've tied it up to like 125-pound test. I've tied it in applications where, crimping probably would have been the better option, but in a pinch it certainly worked. And it's just the knot that can be used for literally almost any attachment point. It can be used slightly open, which I'll show you in a second here on how to leave it slightly open if you're trying to use a presentation where you need some more free swing in a lure, or you want it to cinch down tight. Any option, there's really an application for this knot. In a variation that we're not going to talk about today, this knot can be used to snell a hook. It can be used to tie a standing loop in your line. I've even seen guys drop shot with it, which once again, not exactly what I would recommend doing, but it really can be used for almost anything out there. Your basic uni knot is simply as follows. You're going to pass through one time to whatever you're tying to. You're going to create a standing loop against your main line, and then you're going to pass your tag end through that loop. And the number of passes you do through that loop will vary angler to angler. My rule of thumb is mono and fluorocarbon. I generally use 5 or 6. The lighter the line, the more turns I put in it. Lubricate it there. The heavier the line, the fewer turns. With braided line, I personally tie more loop, or I personally put it through more than just about anybody else I know. On light braids, I'll actually go up to like 11 to 13 turns. On heavier braids, I will still use kind of 6 or 7 turns minimum. And that's, like I said, that's personal preference. When in doubt, if you put 5 to 7 loops in and you're using anything from, I'm gonna say 4-pound mono up to 80-pound braid, it's gonna hold just fine. This is heavier braid. This is actually 80-pound braid. With the 80-pound braid, I will actually go through the hook eye twice, or in this case, the jig eye twice, just because it's easier for me to hold. I'll make sure it's not looped over itself, but we're just standard loop. And then I'm gonna do the same thing as before. I'm gonna bring that line around, form a standing loop against the main line. Sorry, it's hard to see. And we're just gonna go through that loop. In this case, I'm probably gonna put 6 wraps in it. I'm gonna hold the tag line and just slowly pull tight. You can see that cinching down there. And then before you lock it, you certainly want to lubricate it, and then just slowly pull it down. And really, this is one case I will really suggest pulling pretty hard on the line to make sure you have it seated properly. When we're tying this knot, we use it a lot for tuna leaders here in the Northeast, 60 and 80-pound fluorocarbon and mono tuna leaders, like nighttime chunking. I'm a huge proponent of sometimes, to get it to seat on a smaller hook, we'll actually put a pair of pliers on the tag end and just, we'll kind of use that to give us a little bit of extra leverage pulling down. But you can see it kind of, forms a little barrel right there. And then we're going to just slowly pull it and pull it and pull it until it cinches down correctly. Once again, if you're trying to use a presentation, a lot of guys, crankbaiting, even topwater fishing sometimes want a loop knot, so their lure can have a little more action. Or even if you're trying to, fly line a bait and run a bait quick where you want that bait to be able to swim a little bit better, you can tie this knot so that you leave a little bit of that loop open, and it'll actually cinch down on itself once you hook up, or once it comes tight. But if you've tied it correctly, you can also then pull it back open when you're done. But like right there, you can see I've actually left a little bit of loop open so that lure can work how you want it to work. And then when a fish strikes, it'll actually just seat itself right down. Once again, guys, you can use this knot for attaching almost anything to, a hook, a lure, whatever you need to do, a swivel. You can use it for very light lines, very heavy lines. We've gone over before how to do a double uni in order to join two lines together. You can check our other videos out for that, but it's all just variations on the same knot. And there you have it. I really, really like this knot saltwater fishing. I'm going to say fishing 20-pound test braid to 80-pound test monofluorocarbon leaders. Anything that doesn't require, a standout loop like a dropper loop for whatever reason can pretty much be done with a uni knot. A lot of the top tuna boats I know for chunking, it is the only knot that they'll allow in the water for joining their leaders, their hooks, their swivels. It's a strong knot. It'll hold. You can tie it, on a rocking boat, and just makes a lot of sense. All right, guys, thanks a lot. This is Braden from Fisherman's Source. Have a good day.